a fresh start, right? Maybe it's some time to make some financial resolutions, maybe, hopefully. Chase Wilsey of Wilsey Asset Management is here to help us out. Chase, I always love talking to you. I always learn so much. Happy New Year. How you doing?
Happy New Year. Good to be here.
What are we talking about today? Of course, financial resolutions. Where should we start? I feel like many people are kind of looking to get into some kind of category this year, right?
Well, you know, it's interesting. About 53% of people, according to a Fox Business survey, actually, said that if they're making resolutions, they're going to be involving financial resolutions. So it is something that people are focused on. And one thing that I really look at, and it's, you know, generic advice, and it's the age-old, you know, make a budget. And you hear that enough, but I think the problem is why people don't stick to it many times is they're too stringent. Number one, you have to understand you still need to enjoy money in life.
Right.
So you need to be realistic with your budget. And I always tell people, before you look forward, you have to look back. And what I mean by that is understand where you're spending your money, how you're spending your money, and then you can actually formulate a strong budget. Because you might be saying, oh, I only need to spend like $300 on groceries. And by the time you get halfway through the month, what are you going to do? Get a bag of rice and eat that the whole rest of the month? No, you need to be realistic with those budgeting goals.
Always so much to know. I guess after the holidays, some people may be starting the new year in debt. What can we do to kind of turn that around?
You know,
Best advice there.
Things are expensive, that's for sure. And we just had a nice holiday season here. And when it comes to the debt side of the equation, I always tell people, you just got to start paying it down. And that does kind of stem from, again, a good budget. Because once you're in that debt, that needs to mean you have excess cash flow to pay off that debt. I always tell people, pay off your higher interest rate debt first. There's a lot of different theories out there, but ultimately, you're going to be spending more money on that interest.
With the interest, absolutely.
That's where you got to focus.
You also talk about cleaning out your financial house or cleaning up, let's say. What do you exactly mean by that?
So there's a couple of things I look at here, and it actually stems from working with clients and many times spouses, but this is still very important for individuals as well. It's really generating a list of all your accounts, knowing where they're at, and also too, very important, putting contact information on those accounts. Because what could happen is all of a sudden, unfortunately, let's say one spouse passes away, you don't know who to go to for that, and it's a nightmare. So making sure you're just organized, knowing where things are at. I mean, I use a service like Mint, where I can actually track everything, see where I'm at. It's important to have that data. And on top of that, if you are in a relationship, I tell people, have a monthly meeting. I do mine, again, every single month. Maybe it's a quarterly meeting, whatever you're comfortable with, to have a conversation about money. You know, where's your net worth stand? What about your credit scores? Also, too, talking about that spending. I know a lot of times couples fight over money. It's better be up front than kind of be trailing and having issues.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a little tension there when you start talking about money, but it's important, you know, it's important. Okay, so one question I've heard too, people asking, and I'm like, wow, that's a great question. Should you save or should you invest?
You know, should you save or invest? I mean, it really depends. And it's that age-old, depends answer, but it does. I mean, if you have, let's say, a lot of potential high expenses down the road, let's say you have an old car, and all of a sudden that car is starting to have problems, you're probably going to need to have a little bit more liquidity than somebody that's maybe leasing their car, maybe they're renting their house. They're not going to need as much liquidity as a person that has their house. They own that home. Maybe their home is older. That roof could collapse. You got to replace the roof. I know that's expensive. So making sure you have an understanding of where your financial picture is at is really going to be dependent on should you save or should you invest.
All right. Last remarks, I guess, on any advice to people who are wanting to save right now or wanting to invest or just wanting to kind of clear out debt.
You know, I think the big thing is that with many things in life, you just got to be patient. You have to let the process kind of do its work. You're not going to become a millionaire tomorrow. It takes time to build that net worth, tackle those financial goals, and you just have to be disciplined. That's a big thing it comes to when you're looking at your financial picture and your financial future.
All right. Chase, always good to hear you. Talk to you and see you.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Folks, you're watching the Fox 5 Morning News. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.